boys and girls. My name is Mrs. Fuller, and this is my lab assistant. Her name is Lauren Chicken. Lauren Chicken is a bird. Now, all birds have several things in common, one of which is their skin covering. Birds are covered in feathers. If you see an animal covered in feathers, you know it's a bird. I want to show you the flight feathers on her wing. Chickens don't really fly very far, but they can fly, at least mine can. And here are her flight feathers. And it helps her fly by pushing against the air. Another thing common to birds are their mouths. They have beaks or bills. She has a beak. I'm going to put her up here close to the camera so you can see her sweet face. You look at her face. Do you see that beak? She uses that beak to capture bugs and worms, and she also eats seeds and things like that, corn, those sort of things. Another thing has to do with their feet. Now, look at her feet. She's got blue legs. She's an interesting chicken, but look at her toenails. They're very long. She uses those long toenails to dig in the dirt, to scare up bugs, to dig for worms, and other tasty things to eat. So those are some characteristics of birds. And another thing that she did this morning, she laid an egg. All birds are born from eggs, and Lauren's no exception. She lays an egg every day. She's a real good chicken. I'm going to put her down and show you some more feathers. Come on, Lauren. Yes. Now, here is another flight feather from a different kind of bird than Lauren. And you'll see it's real stiff. I can't even bend it. It's very hard. And these filaments are all hooked together. So when the bird flies, it pushes against the air with the feather. Now, another kind of feather is a contour feather. This kind of feather is smooth up against the body of the bird and helps the bird be aerodynamic, so it can slip through the airstream when it flies. A contour feather. Another kind of, this is my favorite, it's called a down feather. I'll show you these. None of the filaments are stuck together. They're all loose and fluffy, and it traps air against the body of the bird and helps the bird be warm. And then finally, ooh, look at this, a peacock feather. How do you think the peacock uses this feather? It can't fly with it. It's too flimsy and it's too thin to be warm. So what does it do? This is in the tail of the male peacock. And when he spreads his tail out, he's got all kinds of numbers of these things. It makes him look enormous and can scare an animal away. And also with that design, it makes him look like he's covered in eyes. So it really is a exciting way for him to protect himself. It's quite impressive looking. And the second reason, other than to scare other animals away, it actually attracts mates. The female peacock is called a peahen, and she likes these feathers. So that's another reason for the feathers. So we've seen 4 different kinds of feathers, but 5 different uses of the feathers. I'm going to share my screen with you, and we're going to look at some of the other aspects of or characteristics of birds. So let's look at this. Birds, physical characteristics of birds. Now, remember a few minutes ago, I showed you Lauren's feet. And I said Lauren's has those long toenails and those long toes so that she can scratch. Well, look at the feet on this mallard duck to the left. This is the daddy duck. He's got a green head. In bird world, the males are the fancy ones. He has webbed feet. Can you see how wide his feet are? This helps him swim. Now, you can't see very much of the foot of the kestrel in the middle. This kestrel is a bird of prey. That means he captures other animals and eats them. Here's his claw right here. It's called a talon. I don't know if you can see that real well. He uses that to grasp his prey when he eats them, when he catches them to eat. He's a carnivore. And then over here, we've got the tiny little feet of the eastern bluebird. He uses those feet to grasp a branch. Now, Here's some essential questions to think about. How do feathers help birds? Well, we've already talked about that. Number two, how do birds stay warm? Well, I think we've touched on that as well. So let's look at these three birds. The bird on the left is a hummingbird. The bird in the middle is the state bird of Texas, the mockingbird, and the bird on the right is a redbird or cardinal. Now, I live in Oak Cliff and I live in a neighborhood called the Redbird neighborhood. Do you think my neighborhood was named after the cardinal? I think you're right. I think it was. Okay, now here is a cardinal nest right outside my classroom door in a rose bush. It's very well camouflaged. I'm circling where it is. It's very difficult to see. The mother cardinal did a good job of hiding the nest so that her babies would be safe. Now, here are some basic characteristics of birds. Birds are warm-blooded. They can control the temperature of their body with their sophisticated brain. Number two, birds have feathers. I've showed you 4 different kinds of feathers. We talked about 5 different uses or functions of those feathers. Number three, birds have beaks or bills. The beak or the bill is adapted to what they eat. Number 4, birds lay eggs. All birds lay eggs and the babies come from the eggs. Number 5, birds are vertebrates. They have backbones. So look at the nest on the left. That's a robin nest, and the baby robins are called nestlings when they hatch out, and they're helpless for quite a few days before they can get big enough to fly away. In the middle are some down feathers. Over on the right at the top is an eagle. Look at his sharp, curved beak. He uses that because he's a bird of prey. Look at the duck on the right. The duck has a flat bill. The duck eats primarily weeds and things like that that he gets out of the pond, and he needs that wide flat bill to let the water run out when he grabs it. Also look at his feet. He has webbed feet so he can swim. Birds that eat plants are called herbivore. Herb means plant, vor means to devour or to eat. So herbivores eat plants. The purple finch on the left is eating a sunflower seed. Look at his beak. His beak is perfect for a seed eater. Look at the hummingbird over on the right. The hummingbird is drinking nectar from a flower. Birds that eat meat or insects are called carnivores. Carne means meat, vor means eater. The kestrel on the left, smallest bird of prey in Texas. We have them here at the Environmental Center. He's a meat eater, and the great horned owl on the right as well. Birds that eat plants and meat are called omnivores. That would be like our mockingbird, the state bird of Texas, or the corvids. At the top is a crow, and below him is a raven. The corvids are very, very intelligent birds. They can learn to talk. They can recognize people's faces. They can develop empathy. They grieve when someone close to them passes away. And they, being omnivores, they eat everything that they can get their hands on, including the chicks of other birds or even the eggs of other birds, and bugs and worms and carrion. That means like roadkill, dead things. And over on the right, we've got a turkey and a chicken, and they will eat bugs, worms, and seeds and corn. So there's a cardinal nest right there. I'm going to let you see the daddy. The daddy is going to feed the, no, there's the mother. Sorry about that. And there's the baby. And when there's the daddy. When they bring food, the daddy is the red one and the mama is the tan one. When they bring food, the babies open their mouth as big as they can and they try to stuff the food in there. Isn't that wonderful? Okay, we're gonna stop this. Okay, and here is a feather challenge for you. Ask an adult for a feather and look at it with a hand lens. What do you see? Can you draw the feather? Draw the feather and show it to your teacher. Okay,